these concepts are evolving not just as a result of people thinking of them. They are evolving and they are changing because there are things happening in communities right now across the nation. Iowa City is not the only city, the only place that has created a Truth Commission in the United States in the last 3-4 years. Actually, by a count that we have done, it's over 40 communities, states, counties, cities that have created different institutions, some of which are called Truth Commissions, some of which are called reparation initiatives, some of which are called reconciliation initiatives, etc. And they are similar in a way, that is, they all deal with issues of racial justice, right? But they have different names. Now, the reality is all of those are actually happening, taking place. And that is going to have an effect on how do we think of these issues. And it's not just commissions. Think of movements to re-signify the markers of a city, take down monuments to hate or to white supremacy, replace them with other markers, with other memories. All that is also happening. So all that is going to have an effect and an impact in how we refer to these things. And here is where I want to get into the subject. This is happening in the United States also because it also happened in the world. This is not an issue, Truth Commissions, where the US has created or has invented something. On the contrary, Truth Commissions were actually established in what we sometimes call the Global South. These are countries that have experienced the consequences of war, of violence, of injustice, of extractivism, of imperialism, and it is those countries that have established these institutions. One reason why we in the US have heard about Truth Commissions is because of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of South Africa. Many people have heard about that commission, and that is a demonstration that these institutions were not established here. And one problem sometimes with the US is this notion of exceptionalism, right? That everything in the US is exceptional, different, and therefore this country doesn't need to learn anything from anyone else. And the reality is that the practice of Truth Commissions, the practice of reconciliation, is one glaring example of a particular point where, yes, there are openings here to learn from the rest of the world. Truth Commissions that emerged in places like Latin America, in places like Africa, and have been examined here, studied here, and now are starting to be applied here. So how is it that they were created? How is it that they emerged, right? They were created in a very exceptional manner, meaning that when you think about justice, particularly justice after a lot of trauma, a lot of harm, talk about apartheid in South Africa, or civil wars and conflicts, or coup d'etats, or authoritarian rule. You are talking about thousands upon thousands of people killed, executed, persecuted, deported, etc. So in those situations, thinking about justice is very challenging because really there is very little chance that that is going to be fixed by a court of law, by what we usually call justice, which is criminal justice. And that is why people started to think of other options in addition to criminal law. You know, when you had something like World War II, you would think, well, how do you solve that injustice? Well, the Tribunal of Nuremberg was created, but in that tribunal, only 20 Nazis were tried. And of those 20, I think 14 were sentenced to different penalties, and a few were declared innocent. Right? So criminal justice is not going to be enough at all for these kind of purposes. That is why countries like South Africa, like Argentina, like Chile, my country of origin, Peru, decided that in addition to criminal justice where it is possible, against the worst perpetrators, we need to have something more flexible, more open, that does not depend on the prosecutors, on the DAs, on the lawyers to function. And that is where they invented truth commissions. So truth commissions are a space of justice, only not criminal, but restorative justice.